Hey YouTube. So we're going to do something a little bit different, because I want to introduce you to someone who is near and dear to my heart, both in magic and in life. He's one of my best friends, and I'm the type of guy who really only has like 7 really good friends, and that's about it, and this guy is one of them. But instead of it just being an interview, we are first and foremost going to introduce you to him through a tutorial, because he is also one of the most gifted card handlers that I know of. His name is Elliott Terral. Now, if you've been involved in magic at all over the past few years, the name is probably familiar to you. He's the founder of the podcast Magical Thinking, where he personally interviews some of the luminaries of our craft. He's one of the founding team members of the website Art of Magic, which was acquired by Vanishing Inc. specifically for the quality of the content that they were generating there. He's one of the best dressed men in magic, if not in general, and he is also one of the most talented magicians and gifted magic thinkers that come to mind. The majority of his contributions to magic have either been through his voice or the written word, like through his podcast or through his articles in Genie. Or, in my case, being the cheerleader for magicians who were just trying to figure it all out, and not worrying about the credit because he was more concerned with the outcome. That being said, time to give credit where credit is due. So Elliott is going to come here and teach you his Abracadabra change, which is his take on the hurricane change. Now, he could have released this through any number of magic companies. He's got the contacts. But it was his preference to come on here on this channel and release it to you for free with one caveat. Whatever money you would have spent buying this tutorial from a magic company, he asked that you take that money and donate it to an organization that you know is actively boots on the ground making the world a better place, or what's better, take that same money and do some of that yourself. So without any further ado, here's Elliott Terral and the Abracadabra change.
Hey there, folks. I'm going to share with you a color change that I have been working on and off for, 7 or 8 years. It's a variation on Harry Levine's Hurricane Change from the Trapdoor, published in the 70s, I think, that was inspired by my diving into the Erdnase change, or the two-handed transformation from the expert at the card table. But what I never liked about that change is that if the deck is in your hand and you are looking at an axis, your dominant hand has to cover the deck in that same frame, or on the same axis. And I never liked that sort of one-to-one cover. So regardless of how you play around with the change, there was always this moment where your hand had to cover to get into palm position. So I was on a drive from Louisiana to St. Louis, Missouri, and I was driving with my knees on the highway, and I was fiddling with a deck of cards, and I was playing with the Zoso change, which you may or may not be familiar with, and it has variations of numerous kinds, but it's essentially when you take the top card and you pop it up behind the cover of your dominant hand to come back and show a change. So I was playing around with that, and I was playing around with the Erdnase change and some other techniques, and it all sort of coalesced while I was driving into this new color change that has had various names over the years. Because it's a variation on the hurricane change, I called it the Katrina change because I'm from Louisiana. That seems in poor taste, though, and I have since stopped calling it that. So now, henceforth, it will be known as the Abracadabra change, because I posted a small little tutorial during the sort of uprising that happened in the summer of 2020 and said, donate to a charitable cause what you would have paid for the tutorial of this video. So I encourage you to do that, even now. So anyway, let's talk about what the color change is. The first thing you need to know is what the Berg palm is. Now, the Berg palm was originally published in Card Control by Arthur Buckley. I think it's on page 68. And yes, it is 68. There we go. It has since been finessed over and over and over again, and the Berg palm as I know it is actually not how it's published in the book. So very quickly, and what was special about it, just as a side note, is that it was meant as a palm for multiple cards off of a packet, which is interesting. So anyway, you have a break under however many cards, and that's just a standard pinky break. Now, as it's originally published, your thumb is at the outer left corner, and your dominant hand comes over to contact the opposite corner from the thumb, and then it pivots off of the thumb into the palm. Now, as I have come to know it, the middle finger of the hand holding the packet or the deck plays a lot more of a role in the palming procedure. So your thumb is at the outer corner there, and your middle finger, again, you're holding a break at the pinky, the middle finger is going to pivot that small packet of cards that's going to be palmed away from the packet. So it just rides up the side of the deck to pivot away. That's going to make it much easier for your dominant hand to come over and palm those cards away from the packet. Now, when you are going to palm those cards, and this isn't a video on palming, but make sure that these fingers, the ring and the pinky finger, push those cards up into the palm away from the hand so that you can actually get a nice clean grip on the packet that isn't palmed. Okay, so now that you have a basic understanding of what the Berg palm is, we can talk about the color change. So you do whatever double you want to get it to the top, to turn over 2 cards on top, or you could do the change from the bottom of the deck. It's up to you. So pinky break under the top card, and you're going to do the first action of the Berg palm to slide that top card over to the side. Now, this is a fairly minute gesture. It's a little larger for emphasis in the video, but when you're actually doing the move, you only need to move it over maybe a quarter of an inch, possibly less. Once you've done that, you're gripping the deck really between the pinky and the thumb. The pinky is sort of pinky pull down the whole deck, and the thumb is operating as a way to stabilize the rest of it. So your middle finger can, again, pivot that card out, and you'll relax the base of the hand, sort of the thumb area, so that you are levering the deck away from the base of the thumb. That's important because your dominant hand is going to come over and slide that second card out from underneath so that it can all come back to rest on top. So the dominant hand is going to use the thumb to slide that card out. It's on the side of the thumb. And the beauty of this, again, to get back to the ordinance change, is not that you're going to be at this 1-to-1 position, but that your hand can come to the side as if you were just waving over the deck in a natural position. So that card is pivoted. The dominant hand comes over and contacts the very edge of that card. Now, because of the nature of the way I'm holding the deck, if you can see, the deck is beveled in towards the base of my thumb. So when I move this top card over and I contact the edge of the second from top card, it will very easily slide out because I'm not grabbing any of the other cards because of the bevel. So this card is slid out on the edge of the thumb, and as it's being slid out of the deck, you're going to contact sort of the pip index of the card with your index finger, and it's just going to cover right there. That's going to provide all the cover necessary to get that card out to then slide back over on top. You'll have to play with the angles, and if you have a full-length mirror, I recommend playing around with it in front of the full-length mirror so that you can see how far away you can be from a person and do the move. You can get up pretty close, but just make sure to angle the front part of the deck at their eyeballs. And you can do a slight turn to the side as well to help mask that change. But again, it's really pretty because, like in the Zoso change, you can actually see through the windows of the fingers when you come back to do the move.
And there you go. That's Elliott and the Abracadabra change. Now, like I said before, whatever money you would have shelled out for that tutorial to a magic company, take it and more if you can, and go make the world a better place. It's not just my request, it's his. Now, before you go, you should know that this wasn't the only piece of magic that Elliott wanted to teach. While he was here, he also recorded an entire tutorial on his touches of card through handkerchief, as originally taught in Expert at the Card Table. But we also got the chance to just sit down and have a chat about all of the things that have deeply impacted him over the past year and beyond. From magic, which you got a small piece of, to men's fashion, where you get to watch him build me a suit from scratch through the clothing line that he founded, Raconte, to the social justice issues that he's become so deeply involved in. Because if there's one thing you learn about Elliott, it's that he can't abide a bully. All of that is contained in a much longer video that I will link in the description below, and I hope you guys take the time to check that out. In the meantime, I'll see you guys soon.